for another stream, and this one's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead and allow you guys to call in specifically during the show, and you basically will be able to give your insight in regards to the Tyler Dunn article. We'll break it down, we'll react to it, we'll go through basically each part. There's going to be 3 parts to this, so the stream's going to be probably a little bit long. But yeah, then we'll get into as far as, how I feel about Sean McDermott, and then get into the Kansas City Chiefs and the Bills on Sunday. And then, yeah, we'll break everything down. Make sure you guys hit that like, that thumbs up, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Click that bell, turn on your notifications, the way you don't miss a stream. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, as we get started here, obviously, when you guys do call in, just know that it is a family-friendly channel. So, yeah, just keep that in mind, and we'll get it going here. We'll get it going. So, we're going to go ahead and start off with part 1 of this article. We're going to dig right into it, get right into it. It's going to say the McDermott problem. Now, this article is by Tyler Dunn. Now, a lot of people have basically been saying that this article is basically a hit piece on Sean McDermott in regards to probably having, the worst situation possible with the team, morale being low, and just the team not being in a good space. So the bad timing for this article to come out. So we're going to go ahead and mine through it. We're going to read through it. Break it down, and then we're going to see, where he comes up short, see what makes sense, and then we'll go from there. So we'll get started here. The McDermott problem, part 1, the blame game. It says his job's too hard to fight from within, and that's what you do there. You got to overcome the head coach. Our 3-part series begins with a look at life at One Bills Drive. Now, obviously, if you want to read this article, it's on golongtd.com. It's written by Tyler Dunn. As we get into it here. So let's go ahead and start. It says, when the clock ticks closer and closer and closer to triple zeros, all viewers of the Buffalo Bills have been conditioned to expect calamity. 7 years of torture will do that. The sight of Sean McDermott whispering into a headset has been synonymous with impending doom. The 2023 season is caving. The Super Bowl window is closing. Now, I would say that there is some truth to this, right? I do feel like there obviously is certain issues with the team, specifically in regards to the Super Bowl window. And that's why there's been talks and conversations in regards to specific people potentially leaving and, specific people basically not having probably the opportunities that they may have because they're in their prime. So, yeah, I could definitely see where, that would make sense to say that the Super Bowl window may be closing. But that's definitely an opinion, right? That's not a fact. But then getting into as far as what the Buffalo Bills have been conditioned as well as the fans, right? I would say I don't like the, having the every week feeling like I have to be on the edge of my seat, right? We get into the conversation as far as whether or not the Bills are dominant and can we be dominant when we're at 100%. Obviously, yes, that's a resounding yes. If the Bills defense is at 100%, we can definitely be dominant. But the problem is we haven't seen that. We haven't seen the Bills with a healthy defense in the last 2 years. So the real question boils down for me is when it comes down to Sean McDermott making the right choices, the right adjustments, getting into the defense, is he doing that in a timely manner? And is he doing that in a situation where it makes sense at a game level? But we'll get back into it. It says those who work with the head coach on a day-to-day basis predicted all of this months in advance because they've seen how McDermott operates on a day-to-day basis, how tangibly nervous he gets in close games, how he never truly appreciated his gift from the football gods, Josh Allen, how he's quick to blame everyone but himself in defeat. That's why one coach in June began by asking a simple question. If they fail again this year, what does ownership do with Sean? And so, right, we can get into the conversation in regards to Ken Dorsey. And obviously, you guys know I predicted that. That was a conversation that we not only had months ago, but we were talking about that last year. It was one of those situations where we kind of knew what was going to happen because the writing was on the wall. And so getting into this, does Sean McDermott appreciate Josh Allen? I definitely think that he does. I think he knows the talent that Josh Allen has. I think the big problem comes into whether or not people understand whether they can actually tame the wild horse that Josh Allen is. We understand that he can run. We understand it. He can throw. He's a gunslinger. So obviously you're going to have situations where he's throwing long bombs and he may get picked off because the accuracy is just not there. Or he plays like a loose cannon sometimes and obviously tries to force things when he shouldn't and then throws a pick. We understand that. So I wouldn't say that Sean McDermott doesn't truly appreciate Josh Allen. I would say that he has not really developed Josh Allen the way that he needed to, or maybe even took the time to make sure that Josh Allen is playing at the level that he needs to play at, so that he can go into these games ready. Maybe spend more time paying attention to film, maybe spending more time understanding as far as different defenses and different schemes and paying attention to that thing on a week-by-week basis instead of just going into a game and winging it. Is that the kind of stuff that Sean McDermott probably should be preaching to Josh Allen? I think so. Do we know if he is? We don't know that. So that's something that could be brought up and could be mentioned as we keep going. So it then goes on to say 3 seconds later, he answered his own hypothetical. Next year, if they fail, you'll know who'll be the first he serves up, Ken Dorsey. The coach wasn't quite sure how McDermott would manage to put Dorsey's head on a stick. After all, it's the head coach's beloved defense that has melted in 4 straight postseason losses. The honeymoon period with fans ended a long time ago. And I'm going to stop there because he's not wrong, right? The honeymoon phase did end, right? I feel like a lot of people had the situation where there was such high hopes when we faced Kansas City and we got into the game and we thought that we were going to win that game. And then obviously everyone knows the dreadful 13 seconds, right? When you look at the concept of that game and how heartbroken people were, and especially the players, right? They were the ones on the field putting in the work. They deserved to win that game. And unfortunately, the coaching was the biggest problem in that game and as far as why we didn't win it. But let's keep going. Goes on to say, pointing a finger at his bread-winning quarterback, again, surely wouldn't work. Yet even back in June, this assistant knew his old boss would find a way to deflect blame. Watch, he said, if they sputter at all during this year, the narrative's going to be the offense, and which it was, right? It was the offense. But listen, if for those who know and for those who remember, I said at the beginning of the season that the Bills needed to put up at least 35 points if they were going to have a great season. Some people barked at me about it. Some people got mad and upset with me about it. But if you go back and look at last year, look at the scores: 40 points here, 38 there, 32 here, 28 there, 40 there. So it's not impossible to win these games when your offense is putting up the points. But obviously it's not happening this year. So the defense needed to step up as well. We know that didn't happen, so we'll keep it going. Says on cue, seeds of blame were planted loss to an agonizing 24-22 loss to the Denver Broncos on November 13. McDermott didn't limit the jailbreak blitz that teed up a game-winning field goal, nor did he take ownership for 12 men being on the field. Yeah. A penalty that gifted the Broncos another field goal attempt. He gushed over the defense, trashed the offense, and Ken Dorsey the next day, which we all knew that was coming, right? We understood that was probably already in the works. We already knew that if we lost to Denver, that Dorsey was gone, right? That was just the reality of it. Everyone was calling for heads to roll, and obviously, if you didn't choose someone else, it was going to be Ken Dorsey. That's just the reality of it. He had to go because he was the most expendable person at the time. Keep going. This is a card he didn't expect to throw on the table so soon. All the ensuing 37-point offense outburst in Philadelphia did 2 weeks later was further brighten the blinding spotlight on the real problem in Buffalo, a problem that began long before the Bills devolved into a 6-6 team loitering in the hunt. The great mystery of the 2023 NFL season, what happened to the Buffalo Bills, is no mystery at all. It's McDermott. It's always been McDermott. He's a coaching relic routinely paralyzed by fear in late games. And listen, if I stop here, this isn't wrong, right? He's a coaching relic routinely paralyzed by fear in late games. We've all seen this. This isn't something that he's just talking out of his ass about. We're just going to keep it real. We've seen this late in the game. We see the face. We see the fear. We're looking at the coach that looks like, oh my goodness, I hope we don't lose, instead of knowing that, hey, we're going to take control. We're going to be dominant. We're going to go out there and win. And these are the kind of things that we've been discussing week by week that I've been talking about. So this isn't nothing new to me. But let's keep going. He never imagines what could go right with 20 seconds left in regulation. Instead, forever horrified of what could go wrong. Oblivious to the reality that he employs one of the sport's most talented quarterbacks. The word you'll hear constantly from those who've been around McDermott is tight. He's so incomprehensibly tight, they say players cannot help but stiffen up themselves, as if the head coach uses the 2-minute warning to administer mass lobotomies on his team. All right, we're getting a little deep here now. So, obviously when you play tight and you play scared and you play nervous, that not only exudes the vibe to your team, but they see that energy, right? And so we can sit here and say, well, yeah, Sean McDermott, right? We know that he's not really a super hype coach. He's more of a softer coach. And, people appreciate that because he's a nice guy. And we get into this conversation as far as that goes. At the end of the day, I don't think anybody's attacking Sean McDermott's character. And if they are, I'm missing it in this first part. All right, I really am. But what I am going to say is this. You can criticize and give constructive criticism without attacking someone's character. And for the most part, in this first part, that's what I'm seeing. Like I said, someone's going to take this however they feel about it, because I understand that people love to get emotional about their players, get emotional about their coaches. But when you stand back and you look at what's being said here, it's not far off from what we've been seeing on a week by week basis, because a lot of people are so uptight and getting so mad and so upset because in this same section or whatever, in these same articles, he was mentioning what happened in regards to the McDermott 9/11 situation, but they failed to mention everything else that was mentioned in this article that actually did make sense. So we're going to keep going. It says this is the man who ended the team's 7-year playoff drought, who restored order and discipline to the moldy frat house Rex Ryan left behind. McDermott also guided the Bills to the near death of a player. Damar Hamlin's heart stopped. A football game was canceled. A nation was forced to reconcile with his love of football. He deserved every rose of praise for navigating a team through such a surreal moment in time. Look at that. Right there, you have a section where this man is praising Sean McDermott for how he handled that specific situation. So where is the character assassination? Where is the hit piece article? Is anyone talking about this part, or did everyone just talk about what they said about the 9/11 situation? Let's really keep going and really keep digging in. So then goes on to say, it says, but if the goal is to win a Super Bowl, the Bills have one option: fire the head coach before it's too late. This 3-part series is the culmination of extended interviews with 25 coaches, players, personnel, men, and other team sources who've passed through one Bills drive. Many were granted anonymity to speak freely without the fear of retribution. Most know exactly when the McDermott era broke, January 22nd, 2022 at Arrowhead Stadium. And I'm going to be honest with you. This is the reality. At the end of the day, you're going to have a situation where you tend to look at how that broke the team, how that broke the fan base. And basically, at the end of the day, he's right. Right there, that statement is right. I also do feel like the McDermott era broke at that time from that one specific game. But you know what? This is what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start as far as taking calls from you guys. If you want to call in, the number's up on the screen. I want to see how you guys feel about where we are at this point. I want to see if you have any kind of insight. If you don't agree, if you do agree, pick up the phone, dial the phone number, and we'll get into it. That's 585-371-8825. And once again, that's 585-371-8825. And we'll go ahead and give you guys some time to dial in if you want to before we get started with the next series. Okay, perfect. All right, so yeah, let's. How do you feel about the article? And state your name and where you're from, and then we'll get into it.
All right. My name is Scott Wakefield, and I'm from Tonawanda, New York.
Okay.
Um, I feel exactly the same way you do about McDermott. He just doesn't have. He's a good coach, but he'll never be a great coach. He has definite flaws at important times, and being a fan in Buffalo, so many people would follow this team no matter what they did.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
great to hear somebody really speak the truth, and it's very frustrating as a fan
Sure.
to see this week in and week out. And he does have that deer in the headlights look in the fourth quarter a lot. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah, and the big thing is this too. Um, I noticed that when we have these kind of conversations, and I get the feeling of emotion, I get the sense of loyalty, but there has to be some kind of a realism when we're having these conversations and we're talking about the team that we've come to grow and love and follow, spend our money on, root for, day in and day out. And people don't want to have the conversation. They don't want to have the real side of things come out. They want it to be sugar coated. They want to have the feel good. Oh, everything's gonna be okay, and we're gonna go out there next week, and we're gonna do wonderful, and it's gonna get better, and we're gonna watch the press conference, and we're gonna listen to what they say. And they've been saying the same thing week in and week out. And you get that one good win, and it makes you feel good, and it's a 3-point victory, or it's a victory by barely a touchdown, and it's to a team that we should have been beating anyways. We should have blown out, and that's not the way that it should have been. You've got the talent. You have an amazing elite quarterback to go out there and do what they need to do, and you have a talented defense. And and that's the biggest thing that I think that people really don't want to get into the conversation of, unless you're a diehard and elite person that's looking into the game.
Absolutely. And I've been following the Buffalo Bills since the early 70s, even before OJ, for that matter, into the late 60s.
Sure.
And as a realist, it's been 55, 60 years of nothing but disappointment. I mean, we've had great games.
Mm-hmm.
We've had great runs. We've had great players. But what have we really won? Nothing in 55 years. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
But I'm always there every Sunday rooting them on, but it gets very disappointing after a while. And I appreciate, finally hearing someone say it like it is.
No, and you know what? It's been. I'll be honest with you. I'm glad that you said that. The thing about having this conversation, and the reason why I'm doing it now, is because people love to, deep dive, and they love to talk about the analytics, and they love to talk about the stats, and Josh Allen's doing this, and Josh Allen's number one for that. And it's like, okay, well, that's not getting the wins, right? You can look good on paper. You can have the highest accuracy percentage. You can have the highest QBR, but if you're not winning the games and that's not translating to championships and Super Bowls, then it's not going to make any sense.
Yeah, but I'll say this though: if we didn't have Josh Allen, we might be a 2 or a 3 win team.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I definitely agree. Definitely agree.
There's just as long as we have him, we have that chance. But well, I'm just going to say I hope they go into Kansas City and win, and then continue the winning. Otherwise, they'll be polishing up the golf clubs real soon.
It's very true. It's very true. So I do thank you for your time. We'll get on to another call, but I do thank you, and shout out to you for supporting the show.
Thanks. Happy holidays.
You as well. Happy holidays.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, so we'll go ahead and take one more caller before we get on to the article number 2, and we'll wrap this up. We'll do one more caller. Looks like we have... We'll make this one here. We'll see if this works. Hold on. Here we go. Oh, that one went to the voicemail. Let's see here. Who are we gonna call next? Let's try this one here. Let's try this one here. Hello?
Gonna take your
Hello?
uh,
Hey,
Chinese restaurant.
one more time.
Young point time.
All right, I can't understand you, man. We'll have to try to get somebody else in the line. Hello?
Is that you on the air?
Yes, can you state your name and where you're from?
Rick Beck from Brantford, Ontario, Canada.
All right, how you doing today?
Oh, doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. So, do you agree with this article or do you disagree?
First of all, I want to say, listen, the first time I got to speak to somebody actually on Facebook, I just want to say thanks for doing what you're doing. I completely 100% disagree with the article. I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Let's go into just the work period. We've all been on this earth. I'm 48, so we've all been on this earth. Okay. What's the thing people want to do? Pump the blame. Point this. Put the guy out. Championship teams are not built in over a few seasons. Last time I checked, it's been a long time since I had this kind of team. Now, one of the things that even corporate business do, and what football, hockey, as soon as they find one problem, what do? They
Let me ask you this: do you have me on speaker? Because you're kind of cutting in and out. Are you on speaker?
I am. I'll go speaker.
Yeah. If you can get off speaker, that way we can hear you clearly.
Sorry, is better?
That's better. Yeah.
So this is when they started in the beginning or understand.
Yeah, I just need you to make sure you're off speaker so we can hear you clearly.
Let me try to talk.
One more time. All right, so it looks like we lost him. But I was kind of getting the gist that he did not agree with the article there. Oh, he's going to call back in. Here we go. Hello?
Again?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. So, McDermott article, this is the best we've had in a long time. I believe that. I believe in the Bills. I believe in everything that they have. And, if we had there, we got to have luck, we got to have destiny, we have love, everything that comes with doing the championship game. I'll tell you one thing. Best team we've had in years. I hate hearing trying to destroy man. I hate trying to destroy this team. I think it's disgusting.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you right there because, like I said, you're cutting in and out, but I think we got the gist of what you're saying. You completely disagree with the article because you feel right now that we have the best team that we've had in years, and that this article is basically trying to destroy what the Bills have created under McDermott at this time, correct?
That's what everybody does in this world. Destroy something that's good. That's the first thing they do. People that want to attack, they attack this. Let it be.
So I'll tell you this. I understand where you're coming from, right? I totally get it. We're in the world where, if someone doesn't like someone and they have some kind of, influence or some kind of stature, they feel that they can write an article about them, smear their name, and basically just tear down whatever they build. But the problem that I have with that statement is this. There's a lot in this article that actually does resonate as well. So you may have someone that, yes, sure, they're, disgruntled, or they may have some kind of vendetta against this individual, right? We're going to just open all doors, right? At the end of the day, there are key points in here that I myself personally know that I've witnessed and that I felt from watching these games and that I felt from commentating about these games. Because a lot of people don't know, or if they do know, if you're just watching this or if you're just coming in from Facebook, I stream these games every Sunday, right? Bills play, I'm streaming it. That's just what we do here. So, I'm watching what Sean McDermott's calling. I'm watching how Josh Allen.
Let me pause you there for one second.
Sure, go ahead.
I just want to pause you for one second because I've been 40 years old. I play football, and I've seen things that is unexplainable. That's the way football is. Let me talk to you about the Dallas Cowboys. We go there, like, spend more money, more things, they think everything. They're not in the same league as us. I'm going to go on the record. With this. We're going to go on ahead. We're going to go on a run. I'm not going to tell you why. Because we have to be up the play.
So record. Okay. I wish you had a better connection because you're cutting in and out. I'm catching basically what you're saying.
I will next time. I'm out in Brantford. I got a house, a bush.
Okay.
Sure the time that I want this conversation, I'll hook you tomorrow.
Okay. Not a problem. What do I have to do then?
I can't wait to get to know you guys better, and go Bills.
Go Bills. Go Bills. Go Bills. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon. All right, so we'll try to get one more on. Like I said, he was having some kind of an issue as far as the quality of the call. If someone else wants to call in real quick before we get started with the article or the second part of the article, numbers up on the screen. It's going to be 585-371-8825, and we'll try to get you in here before we get started with the second article for this conversation. While we're waiting on the next call, we'll get to the chat. We'll get to the comments. Shout out to Gary. Says, "Hey Jay, how big of a problem has injuries been for the Bills? I know it's been a huge problem for the Seahawks. It's been very huge. It's been one of the biggest problems as far as with the defense. And that's what's hindered the Bills from actually being able to go out there and be dominant and play at an elite level." Looks like we got a call here coming in from Colorado. 1 second here.
Hello.
Hey, it's Jay. How are you?
Good. I'm TH Movies. I'm always.
THM, what up, man? What's going on with you?
I'm in Vegas here, and I was watching your show, and I get a little annoyed by the experts online.
Okay.
They think they know the game, but they're sitting on a couch or desk, and professional coach, professional football players doing their best, and they can come up with nothing better than to trash.
Okay. So that's what you got from the article?
Well, I just think that you point out obvious mistakes that are being made, like an interception or whatever. You really have no way to fix it. You just want to complain about it.
Okay, yeah, I agree, right? But I think when we get into any kind of conversation as far as, any team, whether it's or any sport, it could be basketball, football, soccer, whatever it is, you're going to have people that break down, that sport, what happens in it, how they feel about it. That's a big part of sports and even journalism to that degree. They basically help people understand as far as what's going on with that specific team, what's going on with that specific player, and then people just break it down and go from there. There's always going to be gripes, right? There's always going to be gripes. There's always going to be somebody that has an opinion about specific teams and players and how they feel about it. And obviously in my situation, I definitely try to be not as biased. Everyone knows I'm a Bills fan. So when I have these kind of conversations and, it gets a little sensitive, that's why I have to make sure that I say things a certain way so people can understand where I'm coming from both sides.
Right. All I'm saying is I think they focus on the negative and never give credit to the positive.
Okay. No, I respect
an
that.
Amazing back. I mean, if you think you can go out on the field and try. But, these professional coaches, professional offensive coordinators, they're doing a lot better than we do. And all we hear about is all the things doing wrong. We never hear what they're doing right.
Well, I don't agree with that because, I always see the stats for, Diggs. I always see the stats for, Allen, and people will bring up certain things as far as the defense and stuff like that. So it's kind of one of those situations where you will have different things that people do talk about more than others. And it's funny because if whatever platform that you're on, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you're basically a part of an algorithm. And whatever you've been looking at or whatever you've been watching the most, they're going to push that to you. So let's say you've been looking at negative Bills posts all day. What's going to happen is you're going to start seeing all the negative Bills posts. If you're looking at a lot of positive Bills posts, then you'll probably see, a lot more positive Bills posts, and you'll see some negative stuff sprinkled in there. But it really all boils down to what the algorithm pushes out to you based on what you watch. And it's really unfortunate because most people don't know that. So it can kind of seem like, well, hey, all I'm seeing is negative stuff, or all I'm seeing is bad stuff, when in reality, what you see is controlled by the algorithm.
Well, I have come just to watching you on YouTube because you're actually fair and balanced. And if it's doing well, you say they're doing well. If your team isn't doing well, you'll say it.
Exactly. And I do thank you for that.
People on Facebook, I see, they pick a team and nothing can do no wrong.
Yeah. Well, the big thing too is I just had a big, well, not a big situation. It's all fun, but I have this rivalry going on right now with the Eagles. The Eagles fans. I gave them the first 5 wins straight. And then I kind of shifted because I felt like Miami was going to make a difference, and then it got a little tricky as far as with the Commanders and as far as what they were going to do, and things just started to shift, and I knew there'd be a time and point where things would change for the Eagles. But there was nothing that the Eagles could do. There was no wrong. And, I put up a post about it, and I'm getting completely flamed left and right because, Jalen Hurts is just the god quarterback right now. And Swift is so amazing. And, that Eagles defense is just elite and magical. And right now, you obviously see the loss to the 49ers. And then the whole tone changes, right? Now everyone sees the weakness in Jalen Hurts, and everyone sees the weakness in that offensive line. And I've been the one saying this for the last 4 or 5 weeks. I was just waiting for it to happen,
Right. When they the Commanders in overtime, I was thinking they weren't that good.
Yeah.
And I think what you said though, go for all diehard fans, any team. If you get diehard Dallas fans, Dallas can do no wrong. If you get the Rams fans, they're going to want to run and win the Super Bowl.
Sure. I think
Tom Grossi is now having a fit saying Green Bay is going to be playoffs and could make a run, and it's like, are you kidding me? I think they're even going to make the playoffs.
Sure. And that's, it happens to every team, right? If the Bills were in a situation right now to, let's say they were 11-0, right? We'll just say they're 11-0, perfect record. They haven't lost a game yet, right? If that was the case, this article probably never would have came out. We wouldn't be having this video right now, right? Everyone would be so ecstatic. It'd be nothing but praise for Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen and Cook and Murray, and McDermott would be coach of the year. It'd be just absolutely magical. The thing about it is, that's not happening. So then when this kind of article comes out and we have these kind of conversations, people get emotional about it. People get mad about it, right? They feel some kind of way because their coach is getting beat up on, or their favorite player is getting beat up on. And it's like, no, they're not getting beat up on. We're just having the conversation that we need to have so that we can basically point out the flaws and the things that need to be fixed moving forward.
Well, it's still a game.
Exactly.
And it's entertainment, and it should be rooting for a good game above all every week.
Yeah.
And it's just like Miami. Miami's the 1 seed, I think, in the AFC right now. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they've beaten a team with a winning record.
Yeah, and that's, obviously you guys know we beat Miami. That, that it always boils down, comes back to that. When we get to the later, weeks in the season, obviously I think we have Miami last or second to last. We know how the divisional games go, and we know that game could specifically have very, very big ramifications for who takes the AFC East, depending on how these next few games go for the Bills. And that's where it really boils down as far as even for Miami, right? We know what Tyreek Hill's doing. The big thing for Tua is we know he could play, but the real question at the beginning of the season was, were they going to be healthy? We knew that the Miami Dolphins would be a threat in the AFC East to a certain degree, but I don't think people really expected them to be at this level, right? Because obviously coming into it, it was supposed to be the Bills and then the Jets and then Miami, and then it kind of flipped to, all right, Bills, Miami, Jets. And then, Patriots, they fell off. And then now it's like the Bills were having their struggles and then Miami just took off. So, it's really interesting to see how the AFC is going right now. Obviously, the big talk and the big discussion is the Bills. Everything basically relies on what the Bills can do and how they can recover the next few weeks in regards to the AFC East.
Well, I think the problem is everyone blew everything up. I mean, you lose Aaron Rodgers, Jets go downhill.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Miami, though, has not beaten with a winning record. So we talk about them being so well. I mean, they put up 70 on Denver when Denver's defense was porous.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they're not exactly impressing me when they can't beat a team winning record.
Sure. And I'll actually, I'm going to pull this up here for you guys so we can get it on the screen. So yeah, sure Dolphins, we've got, let's see here, the last three, right? They won against the Commanders 45-15, won against the Jets 34-13, won against the Raiders 20-13, lost to the Chiefs 21-14, one score game. Beat the Patriots 31-17, lost to the Eagles 31-17. So yeah, when you start looking at who they lost to us, they lost to the Bills, they lost to the Eagles, they lost to the Chiefs. These are the teams that basically have the best chance as far as getting to the playoffs and the Super Bowl. So now moving forward, right, they've got the Titans and then they've got the Jets, and then they'll run into the Cowboys, the Ravens, us, and then the Falcons, and then that's going to be the end of the season for them. It's going to be the Ravens, and then they'll face us January 7th. So yeah, that stretch at the end of the season for them, they're probably going to lose all those games. And I would be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost to the Jets.
They lost to the Chiefs. The Chiefs are not doing that well. I mean, they've winning record, but they've lost some game teams you wouldn't have thought they would lose to.
Yeah.
They really beat the Raiders. And the Raiders made some big mistakes in that game. And if the Raiders had have played a little better, it could have actually gone the other way. And that's not exactly the number one seed in the AFC, if you ask me.
Oh, of course. Of course. And we get into the conversation as far as, whether or not teams are dominant, right? That's always been a discussion, even for the last, season before this one. There was no real true dominant team because the way that the schedules were set up, some people had it really easy. Some people didn't. And, if we get into the Eagles, if you look at, the games and how many points they won by, you can tell that, it was going to fall apart eventually. Because it looked good on paper, but it wasn't against teams that were really strong. And if it was against a strong team, it was very close. So, yeah, I don't think Miami is definitely, at the level that they should be known as a true threat. But right now they're sitting on top of the AFC East, and it's up to the Bills to basically make sure that they take it back and get Miami out of there.
I agree. The league has gone to parity. They want close games to be more entertaining.
Yeah.
I mean, how many Super Bowls did the Patriots by a field goal?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well,
when you look at Joe Montana's stats, he had Super Bowls that he 55-10.
Yeah. Yeah. People stop watching it halfway through.
Dominant. When Bears won, it was 46-10. I mean, that's a dominant season.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's always a field goal. Last year, field goal.
Yeah, and that's, obviously we know the closer the game, the more views, the more ad revenue, the more money the NFL makes. So, I think the way that even they've set up this year, it's leading to, like I said, we've got all these games for Miami towards the end of the season that are definitely going to be watched. You got your Jets, Cowboys, Ravens, Bills. And then, get into the Bills. Obviously, if we get into their schedule for the last few weeks, you've got Kansas City, Cowboys, Chargers, Patriots, and then Miami. So the way that this thing's set up for the AFC East and, all NFC, whichever division, they've made sure that the games between December and January are probably the best matchups that people want to see to bring in the most views.
I think Josh Allen's a stud, and I've got him win every game down the stretch.
Okay. I like it. Listen,
I really think they're going to go on a run.
There is very far and in between as far as more of a individual that would like to see the Bills just win it out, right? You win against Kansas City. You win against the Cowboys. You win against the Chargers. You beat the Patriots. You beat Miami. Will that not only get you to the playoffs and have, good morale, but I think that basically gets the team back on track to basically show that, hey, we're still the Bills team that everyone thought that we were. We're not this failure, or we're not this team that people have been sleeping on because they think that we're going to be out of it. And we're right there. We're right in the middle of that. If we go into Kansas City on Sunday and play around and lose that game, then obviously, all hope is potentially lost for most people. Because obviously then you got the Cowboys, the Chargers, and the Patriots, and just things are, the way that you get down that lane is you're hoping that something happens for the Bills to get in, instead of, hey, we went out, we get into the playoffs, and we go do what we need to do to get to the championship and a potential Super Bowl run.
Right.
On the flip side, right, obviously Kansas City not being the team that we know that they have been over the years, they're looking like a shell of themselves. So this would be the time for the Bills to step up and show a dominant victory. I don't want to see
do it with Dallas too.
What'd you say there?
I think they're going to beat Dallas because Dallas has lost the Eagles. They got beat by the Cardinals. They're really looking good against bad teams. They destroyed the Giants twice, but they didn't beat San Francisco. They didn't beat the Cardinals. They didn't beat the Eagles.
Sure. Well,
so
and
teams have beaten them.
Dak's going to have his chance to redeem himself on Sunday.
He is.
And
but from the track record this year, they've lost to good teams.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's way more pressure for Dak Prescott coming into Sunday than it is for Hurts, right? We know that they just came off of a big loss against the 49ers. They're banged up. I do think we're going to see a different side of Dak. He may make less mistakes than he did in that first game. He'll probably play a little bit more conservative. You're going to see McCarthy probably mix things up and go more with the run, just because of seeing what happened as far as, with the 49ers. If teams paid attention to what the 49ers did against the Eagles, they exposed a lot of the things that the teams were lacking to go out there and specifically take over a game in. And if you look at the amount of points that these other teams have been allowing on their defense, they're like, okay, well, we can clean this up. We know how to go after Jalen Hurts now because the 49ers put us on notice. Now, whether or not you got the personnel and the talent to go out there and execute it, that may be in question. But if anybody does, I think Dallas does as far as with their defense for sure.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah. So yeah, I do thank you, THM. We got to just get back through to this article because we can talk about these sports forever. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and finish up the article, and I do thank you for your time. And it was a great discussion and a great conversation. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it. I'll always be watching.
Yes, sir. We'll see you soon.
Take care.
All right. So we're gonna go ahead and get back to the article. That way we can breeze through this thing and wrap it up, and then we'll take some more phone calls before we get into the Kansas City and Bills game for Sunday. So yeah, wrapping up the article, we're still on part 1. So it goes on to say adversity reveals character in any field. Not only did McDermott insult the public by writing off 13 seconds as an execution error, he never owned the defeat privately. He allowed it to linger, and that's the danger with any trauma. There's no way for anyone involved to move on unless it's dealt with head on, unless the guilty party takes accountability. McDermott, as Go Long detailed, was the culprit. Yet when his decision to kick a touchback and his defense doomed Buffalo against the Kansas City Chiefs, in the divisional round of the playoffs. There was zero accountability to delusional proportions. One assistant coach remembers McDermott saying in the locker room that the offense scored too fast and left the Chiefs too much time. And you know what? I was saying this during that game. We streamed it here. For those that were with me, you remember that. I said that, hey, listen, there's way too much time, right? We should have ran more time off the clock before we scored. And this is when we get into the conversation as far as Sean McDermott being nervous, playing fast. Oh, we got to hurry up and score. We got to hurry up and punch it in, knowing that, hey, there's still a minute left on the clock. We need to just go ahead and get that first down, run it a little bit, let that clock roll, and then punch it in so that there's no time left on the clock. But it's always, hey, we're desperate. We're down by 3. We need to hurry up and score and leave this amount of time on the clock for someone to come down and win the game. And that is a big problem, because when you look at what's being said here, like I said, it's nothing wrong in this article. Everything is accurate for the most part from what I've been seeing in this first part. You could say there's some things that, is a dig for sure, but when we talk about the actual facts of what happened in the game and how they were responded by Sean McDermott, it's true. So let's keep it going. Goes on to say it was such a ludicrous statement, end quote. The coach said that it didn't move the needle. The next day, McDermott continued to point the finger, says, you guys need to get away. The assistant recalled the boss, saying, recharge, reflect, and figure out what you can do better to avoid that happening again. With that, he walked out of the room. It's narcissism, said this coach, because narcissists are a unique conundrum. They want the attention, but they're also insecure at the same time, and that's him. The issue with the team is the guy at the top. It's really nothing else. There are so many examples of his insecurity and his bizarre leadership that you could talk for days. Now, to basically call someone a narcissist, obviously this is this individual's opinion. I don't think Sean McDermott's a narcissist. Nothing about Sean McDermott gives off a narcissist vibe. And to me, like I said, I will never discredit Sean McDermott's character unless it permitted. We know he's a good guy. We know that he loves the sport. He loves the team. He loves Buffalo. So at the end of the day, to call him a narcissist, I definitely think that's a dig. I don't agree with that. That's this own person, Tyler's own personal opinion in regards to how he was potentially acting during this time. Keeping it going. Says one quick reporting more because I always want to be upfront with our readers. While Go Long is based in Western New York, the Bills are one of the few teams that have been chosen to deny us credentials. And hey, that's fine. That's their prerogative. And getting into this could be a part of the reason why this article came out, because they denied Go Long and Tyler Dunne these credentials for the Bills media. So let's keep it going. Says we brought you the Isaiah McKenzie show, connected with many Bills players independently for long form profiles, and now it's time to sift through the rubble to figure out why everything's going south. The shame of it all is that this should have been the Buffalo Bills' golden age. The hierarchy of most important employees should be obvious. That fateful night in KC, Allen, the human buffalo of a quarterback; 2, Brandon Beane, the driving force behind the draft that quarterback; and McDermott, the man who ended the drought. Rings are missing, but it's not too late. Owner Terry Pegula can either operate in fear of the playoffless wilderness or act now while there's still time, while Allen is still a 27-year-old in his prime. So, when we stop there, I do think there's some facts in here, right? Obviously, we're ringless. We've been watching these Bills over these years. If you've seen all 4 Super Bowls, you've went through the pain. You've went through the issues of that. And obviously we bounce back from it. Getting into now the opportunities that have been presented to the Bills, we've came up short, in which we should have been to the Super Bowl at least one time. So yeah, understanding that Allen is 27, he's in his prime, but it's not over for Allen, right? Knock on wood, barring any kind of specific issue happen. I'm not even going to say it, but any issue happen that, Allen has time. He still is in develop mode for the most part. So, to say that Pegula has to act now and, he's operating in fear of the playoffless wilderness, I don't think that's true. I think we understand the team that we have. I think Terry understands the team that we have. I think the biggest part is making sure that they're going in the right direction from the coaching standpoint. And if you have to make the proper adjustments, if you have to move people around, if you have to bring people in that can help get the job done, then yeah, that's needed. But to sit there for 6-7 years and just basically go through the same thing and expect things to change, well, we know that that's the definition of insanity. So to a degree, he's right, but I think the overall scheme of things is where he's not able to piece it together. So we'll keep it going. It says complacency will only lead to more torment for all involved. And that is what's most telling about these 25 conversations people who aren't working in Buffalo anymore emphasize. With the torment, thrilled as they are to move onto greener pastures as players, as coaches, they're universally exasperated and saddened for those still in Western New York. This job's too hard to fight from within, and that's what you do there, one ex-Bills assistant explained. You're fighting against the head coach. You've got to overcome the head coach. The job is already hard enough. You've got to overcome all your opponents, all the dynamics. You've got to overcome so much stuff, but then you've got to overcome the guy who's supposedly steering the boat. Hold on tight. The iceberg is near. Yeah, that's a lot to digest, right? Because if there are people in the camp that's saying, hey, Sean McDermott's a very difficult individual to work with, or Sean McDermott's a person that doesn't want to take insight or doesn't want to listen as far as, being open as far as changes and what we need to do to become a better team, then I could definitely see where that would be a problem or that could become an issue from a culture standpoint, from a morale standpoint, and from getting this team to the next level. Because if you do have a coach that's, hey, I'm stuck in this realm and I'm afraid to move on to this point so that we can go on and be a Super Bowl champion team, then yeah, that's stuff that needs to be highlighted by these individuals and these players. Because if you're hearing that it's all sunshine and roses and unicorns, but in reality, in the back office, it's not like that, well, that could explain some of the things that are happening on the field and the miscommunications that people have as well. So yeah, that's going to be part one. Part two gets into loss in translation, and obviously we'll get into this. We'll go ahead and take a few more calls as we got done with Article 1 there. And if you guys want to go ahead and call in now, we'll go ahead and get started. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we'll keep it going here as the calls come in, and we're going to go ahead and switch to Article 2 here. So this is going to be the McDermott problem, Part 2, loss in translation. It goes on to say it's like you make a good batch, but then he just adds a drop of poison in there and makes the whole thing bad. There's a reason these Bills fail in the final seconds. Here's Part 2. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this one here. The PSA should be shouted from a megaphone as the next NFL owners meeting For those who own professional football teams, one longtime vet who spent several years with the Buffalo Bills shares two valuable pieces of advice. His own self-declared public service announcement. Number one, try to learn football a little bit. His voice gets louder. Number two, just because people are good play callers don't mean they're good leaders of the entire effing organization. End quote. To him, the traditional ladder climb from position coach to coordinator to head coach is flawed. He compares it to grabbing the soot-covered diesel mechanic from the garage and asking him to put on a sleek suit and tie to sell cars. The difference between mashing X's and O's together to stymie a high-powered offense and speaking to an entire team is massive. There's no denying that Sean McDermott has been a fine defensive coach the last 2 decades, Philadelphia to Carolina to Buffalo. But as a head coach, he's not merely a game planner and a film bunker. He's a singular voice an entire group of men, grown men, follow on a day-to-day basis. So, yeah, let's stop it there, right? Sean McDermott is the individual that has to lead this team. Sean McDermott is the individual that has to get these Bills to the direction that they need to go in. And I mentioned earlier as far as Josh Allen actually going back and being prepared, being ready, studying film, studying defensive schemes. We talk about Tom Brady and why he's the GOAT. One big thing that Tom Brady did is he knew each team's defense and how it was ran and how he could shift and how all the DBs would move and how the line would move. And that's the kind of stuff that made Tom Brady so great. We don't see that from Allen. And I've been saying this week in and week out. I feel like every game that we go into is we're just winging it, or Allen's out there just trying to figure it out, or just do something that, can potentially get us by. If you have a game plan that the quarterback is actually set on and that they know they're going into with, it's going to be very smooth. You're not going to have the situations to where this individual is freaking out because they don't understand the coverage, or this person isn't open on my first read. Let me go over here to my second read. Let me go to my third read. I should know exactly who I'm throwing to on multiple different reads so that I'm not telegraphing my pass to this one specific person and they can get picked off. But let's keep going. His intent, players repeat, is pure. The coach who ended Bill's 17-year playoff drought realizes how badly locals are dying for their first Super Bowl. The quest consumes him. He never ever does a thing with any other intention than to empower and grow the Bills franchise, the ex-Bill said. That's a fact. Now, whether or not whether or not it's going to work or whether or not the players are going to receive it well, that's a different conversation. But it doesn't come from an evil Sean McDermott wants all the praise and all the credit. He genuinely wants every person in that organization to thrive and win a lot of games to the point of exhaustion. All he wants to do is help that team win. Now, that's the truth. Now, once again, it goes back to where was this in the discussion when people were freaking out about this article and getting so mad and upset in regards to what he said 4 years ago? Where was all this? Because there are points where, just like it just said, they're telling you that this man doesn't want all the praise and all the credit because he wants to make sure that the team gets the victories. He wants the team to win. He wants everyone to celebrate a Super Bowl in Western New York. So let's keep it going. It says, but that's the tricky thing about intent. A player could intend to block the man in front of him after endless hours of preparation, but if he's steamrolled, he's cut out of a job, ejected into civilization to find another job, possibly with lifelong back pain and looming CTE. Pro football, this player made clear, is production-based. No different than when it's time for a head coach to stand in front of the entire team and inspire with a carefully prepared speech. McDermott takes this opportunity quite seriously. And listen, if we bring it there, we talk about production all the time, right? A lot of people like to blur this line of, well, this is a nice person and they should have this job and they should never lose their job because they're a nice person. But when you blur that line as far as understanding that production doesn't care how good of a person you are. Production doesn't care how nice of an individual you are. Production doesn't care how much you did for the community. Production matters when it's out on the field and you need hardware and you need trophies to show for it. And if it's not there, things are going to start questioning, well, what's this person doing? What's that person doing? You ever have a company, if you worked in a corporate ladder where you get micromanaged, right? And they start downsizing. Well, who's doing this? Who's doing that? We got a call coming in. Hello?
Hey, what's up, Josh?
What's going on, man? I'm live right now if you want to get into this conversation.
Yeah, I got about 15 minutes. I hope it ain't going to take that long. No? So, yeah, go on.
All right, we're going to put you in live, Jeff. Shout out to you, man. Here we go. Jeff King in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff King in the building. And I'm just going to get you in here. Can you hear me, Jeff?
I can hear you.
All right. So, yeah, the topic of discussion tonight is the Tyler Dunne article and basically everything that he said in regards to the 9/11 comments and him basically going through as far as what's going on with McDermott and the team. And, do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Have you heard about it? Have you not heard about it? Let me know, Jeff.
Yes, I have. It's a tough subject. 9/11 is people are very sensitive to that,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's, I definitely would have probably picked a better analogy.
Sure.
I don't think he did it in malice. It might have been a little, shall we say, a pain fart.
Yeah.
And I think he was reaching for the right idea. He just used the wrong scenario. And this Tyler Dunne, he's burning fires because they didn't give him a press pass and credentials to get in there. So you're really going to dig that deep into something as stupid as this, of something that was worded wrongly, 22 pages or whatever it was?
Well,
I mean, it's just, I don't know. Again, I'm not saying what he said was right.
Yeah.
But with all the shit, or excuse my French, with all the crap we got going on in this world, I think it's very minute.
So, and I'm agreeing with you, right? To a certain point, it comes down to this. At the end of the day, when you have someone who says a statement like this, you try to understand where they're coming from, specifically being a coach that, is leading so many people. So at the end of the day, could he have chose a different analogy? Could he have chose something different to talk about? Yeah, to go that deep into it and say, hey, this specific thing happened that rocked the nation. What did you learn from it, and how could you use this to apply to your game plan and your strategy? It is a little eye-opening, right? But at the same time, I don't think that it really matters. I said this before that, we get into the conversation as far as, people being upset and people being mad about it. But the reality is this. He said what he said. It was 4 years ago. He used it as a motivational thing. It wasn't like he's supporting that specific event or that kind of activity. He used it as a euphemism for saying, hey, go out there, get rallied up, come together so we can figure out how to win. And, that's where I'm going to leave it. Should he have picked, a different analogy? Sure. But is it a big thing to, try to smear somebody's character for now? No, I don't think we should do that.
No, absolutely not. I think it's ridiculous, again, with everything we have going on in this world. For the news to focus on this is absolutely ridiculous, man.
Yeah. So there was a lot, though, that was said in this article in regards to, some good things in regards to Sean, right? Mm-hmm. There was, one thing that I just actually read where they're saying that, hey, he wanted, the Bills in Western New York to, get a Super Bowl, and he wanted Western New York to be involved in that, and he didn't want to take all the credit and all that kind of stuff. So, there's a lot that goes into this article. We just actually got through the second part. We're getting into the third now. And, for the most part, I can't say that it was a hit piece because there's a lot of facts to it. There's a lot of things that he mentioned in regards to, the way that Sean McDermott looks on the field when, there's 2 minutes left on the game and the Bills are down 3 and we're in a position to score. And
I agree with that part of it.
Exactly. And, different situations as far as, how he reacts to situations while being up and not realizing that, hey, there's too much time on the clock. Maybe you need to just relax for a minute, slow things down before you decide to score and, game plan correctly and utilize the time correctly and manage that clock, because that's all the coaching, right? We can sit here and talk about what Allen needs to do and what the defense needs to do. But when there's 2 minutes on the clock and you're down by 3, the coach is calling in the plays. He knows exactly what needs to be ran. So, this amount of time can be used up and how many timeouts he has and how he specifically needs to plant those timeouts and move things around. That's all the head coach at that time. So when people are looking around and freaking out and getting upset because this person, had left too much time on the clock or there's not enough time on the clock, that's the coach's decision.
Oh, without a doubt. And like I said, I agree with that part of the article. If you want to attack the man for that,
yeah,
then I'm behind it all day long because I attack him myself.
Yeah.
But to attack him for something he said 4 years ago in 2019 is absolutely ludicrous.
No, and I do agree. But I think the big part that a lot of people missed out in regards to this was reading the whole thing. It's very easy to just take that one part and say, oh, this guy's talking about, 9/11 or whatever, and the situation that happened, and you can kind of spin that any way that you want. But there's a lot more to this article than just that, because this man has sources, right? Sources from the team, sources of individuals that actually was playing under McDermott and, in that outfit. So, are you going to have some disgruntled people that maybe are overzealous and you might feel a certain way yourself because you couldn't get the press pass? Sure. But if you read between the lines and if you decipher and take out some of the garbage, you can find the truth in some of these statements.
Oh, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But here's my whole point. Any blog you go on, any news page you go on, what does it say? Sean McDermott's speech about 2019, about 9/11.
Yeah.
It doesn't say about his poor coaching or anything like that. That's the headline that's associated with this, just to get people to read it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's where my problem is with it.
Okay. No, I respect it. We're right on point there. I don't want to take up too much of your time, so we'll get your predictions for Sunday. Bills, KC, what do you got, and what's your score prediction?
Just like Mr. T said, pain. I'm looking for probably 27-14 Buffalo.
Okay. I like it. 27-14 Bills. Let's go.
All right, buddy. You be good. Good talking to you.
You
Folks,
too, Jeff.
be well.
You too. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. So we're on to part 3 now. We're on to part 3 before we get into the KC Bills breakdown. So part 3 of this article is going to say the McDermott problem. Part 3, let Josh be Josh. He wants to run through your face and establish the fact that he's the biggest alpha male dog quarterback in the history of pro football. Buffalo needs to do what's right for his quarterback. The time is ticking. So yeah, there are 2 distinct versions of Josh Allen this 2023 season. One is fun. One takes off on the run. The crowd loves it. Al Michael professes and holds the football over the goal line while staring down a Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback, all at full speed. This version gets a Cincinnati Bengals safety to leave his feet with the pump fake, points, laughs, and runs in for a touchdown. Flag and fine be damned. Meanwhile, Sean McDermott spits on the turf and purses his lips. 15 yards lost on the kickoff likely means more to the Buffalo Bills head coach than any momentum gained by his backyard quarterback rediscovering himself. So yeah, once again, when you have a situation to where Allen runs it in, right? He's feeling like himself. He's feeling great. Everyone's hyped. Yeah, let's go Bills. Allen just ran. He's back to his old self. And then you have your coach who's kind of upset because he just, got a flag for it. You would think that if your quarterback is out there smiling, having fun, especially when they just came from not being that way, looking miserable on the bench and not playing at their full potential, that you'd have a little bit more of appreciation for that. So this is one portion that I will agree with as we get started with this. Let's keep it going. Says this version at rain slop Philadelphia, Rams who read Blankenship at the goal line, chucks the ball against the backstop and flanked by teammates, swaggers right into the teeth of those trash-talking Eagles fans as if welcoming a dark alley fight. The touchdown launched a tour de force for the quarterback, 420 total yards, 4 touchdowns. Number 17 is just a different bird, said one friend and former pro teammate. He's wired different. He's not like most of these quarterbacks. He wants to make jokes and run into people. If Buffalonians could create the quarterback they've always desired in the lab, it's exactly this. And listen, at the end of the day, we know what to expect from Josh Allen. When you let Josh Allen be Josh Allen, you're going to get that run. You're going to get those big explosive plays. And I feel like over the years, right, they've tried to tame him. They've tried to bring him down. And we've seen that in the beginning of this season, how they basically curtailed the way that he played and kind of, all right, we're going to dial things back. We're going to change who you are. And I don't think Allen appreciated that. Obviously, he was doing what he was told because he had to, right? He's getting a paycheck just like anybody else on the team. But it wasn't who he was. It wasn't his identity. So obviously with Dorsey leaving, Brady coming in, now it's all right, let's go ahead and let Allen be who he was and figure out how we can mold into this new Allen that we've created from kind of, slowing him down as far as the deep pass and making him think a little bit more before getting rid of the ball, but go out there and still run, pick up that first down, get that touchdown when you think that you can. And let's get back to that old Allen. Let's keep it going. So then it says, but then there's the other Allen, the pale, stupefied knockoff version who trudges to the sideline after an interception versus Denver with McDermott screaming in his ear. Unlike his boss, Allen does not come remotely close to assigning blame, doesn't embarrass receivers on national TV, doesn't snipe into ear holes on the sidelines, doesn't kindly remind the public what McDermott said back in March, when in truth, it's fully within his rights to alert your attention to these train wreck comments, when in reality, this is everything a former Bills assistant coach meant when he said this team is forced to overcome the head coach. Everything a former teammate meant by McDermott serves as a drop of poison. So now this can be interpreted multiple different ways, because listen, everybody's going to take how someone responds to them their own specific way. Someone can write and say, well, I seen this and I looked at this individual's face and I'm going to perceive this is how they feel. But at the end of the day, it's up to that person how they're going to respond to it, how they're going to take it, how they're going to be motivated by it, and whether or not it's going to make sense for them as far as whether or not they want to play through it. If you look at Allen right now, I think he supports McDermott. I think he feels a lot better as far as the team chemistry, even though it went through the loss. I think moving forward into this Chiefs game, I was looking at some of the pictures as far as the players getting off the plane in Kansas City. They look like they had good spirits. They look like they're ready to go. Hey, and if the morale's there and if it makes sense, then we should see a good game out of these Bills. But to say that McDermott's serving as a drop of poison, I don't agree with that. I don't think the man wants to poison the very franchise that he needs to go out there and win so that he can go out there and win and enjoy that victory. So let's keep it going. Says a smart coach does everything in his power to accentuate the first version of Allen. Realize you've been gifted a Marvel character at the most important position in sports and let him fly. Then there's McDermott sitting down with the NFL Network last March. He made it abundantly clear that Allen needed to siphon these sorts of plays out of his game. I don't think that it's a healthy way to play quarterback in this league, said McDermott in a video posted by the team. It's really undefeated that things are going to happen when you play that style, that brand of football. So we've got to get that adjusted. It's never going to go completely away, but it has to where it's workable. I don't want to take his personality away from him as far as that goes, his signature, but there needs to be an adjustment in that style of play. And listen, by them changing the style of play, you're basically taking away the personality. That's the reality of it. By changing everything that Josh Allen is and what he's grown to become, instead of working on it and developing to make it better, you're not only stifling him, but you're changing him to be something that he's not, instead of working on what he has and utilizing that to his full potential while helping him develop from making mistakes. That's where I have an issue with it, because if you're saying that, hey, all right, we can't play like that, or he can't play like that, we need to get rid of that style. This man's been winning games. He's been playing out there on that field. He is your franchise. And guess what? Certain things have been working with that play style. So if you're not approaching the situation with that, and you're not understanding that you need to build on that, well, then you're failing as his quarterback, or you're failing as his coach being your quarterback. So finishing up, it says manually warping the style of your most valuable commodity should have slotted in as the 2,789th item on the Bills' off-season agenda, but there was no surprise. This is a head coach with a low quarterback IQ. Start with the player who helped become coach, Cam Newton. When the former number 1 overall pick shapeshifted into molten lava on NFL defenses throughout the 2015 season and MVP season, a 15-1 season, McDermott was the Carolina Panthers defensive coordinator, one of many individuals to directly benefit from Newton throwing 3,837 yards, rushing for 636, and scoring 45 touchdowns and leading Carolina to the Super Bowl. You guys know the story as far as Cam Newton and how that goes. The reality is this: McDermott may have played a big role as far as curtailing Allen at the start of this season. And then to me, I could definitely see where Ken Dorsey tried to figure out the plays that would fit into that agenda, and they weren't working. Sure, Allen looked good as far as accuracy, and he didn't make as many mistakes because he wasn't out there gunslinging and throwing bombs when he shouldn't have. But it stifled him because it was not, they did not allow him to be who he is and play at the level that he needs to go out there and win and sustain that. So yeah, I'm gonna stop it there, and then we'll go ahead and take another quick call here, and we'll go from there. So if you guys want to go ahead and call in, we'll take calls. Phone number is going to be 585-371-8825. The question is going to be, do you agree or disagree with this article? How do you feel about it before we get into the Kansas City and Bills breakdown for Sunday? We'll get into that. You guys want to go ahead and call, make your calls. We'll take a couple, and then we'll start breaking down Kansas City as well as the Bills for Sunday.
Oh, my mind, now my mind is blown. No surprise, guess I should have known. Oh, my mind, now my mind is blown. No surprise, guess I should have known. You got control of me, break my barricades. Walls are crumbling, grounds they shake. You came to save, but it's way too late. Every single time you stay, I cave. You got control of me, break my barricades. Walls are crumbling. Every single time you say I can't. You got control of me, break my barricades. Walls are crumbling. Every single time you say I can't. My mind, now my mind is blown. No surprise, guess I should have known. Oh, my mind, now my mind is blown. No surprise, guess I should have known. You got control of me, break my barricades. Walls are crumbling, grounds they shake. You came to save, but it's way too late. Every single time you stay, I cave.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll get back to it. Um, so now that we wrapped up the article, and before I get into the KC Bills breakdown, I want to say that the reality is this: you have an individual who decided to write an article for obviously their own personal reasons. Some of it may be factual, some of it may be not. The reality is this: there are certain things that was in that article that did make sense, and certain things that I didn't agree with. But at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of the information, some of it we already knew. Some of it we already knew. Some of it we had to talk about. Some of it we had to get out. And that's just the reality of it. Now, is it a hit piece? It could be. Certain parts of it, is definitely attacking someone's character. I will agree with that. And I don't think, Tyler should have chose to attack Sean McDermott's character. With that said, there are certain things that definitely should be brought to people's attention. The fact of, how the Bills do play nervous when it's down to the wire. The issues as far as, with the time management and, whether or not they're allowing Josh Allen to be Josh Allen and be the quarterback that we know that he needs to be out on the field. All that stuff definitely needs to be brought to the table, and I'm glad that it was. And that's where we're going to leave it, right? Like I said before, I don't care about the statements in regards to 9/11, right? We know that it was 4 years ago. If it was going to be a situation, we would have already talked about it. We've already known about it. And I don't like talking about stuff that, is out of the realm of a couple weeks, a month, right? It's 4 years ago, and that's it. So there you go. That's the article. It's on golongtd.com. If you guys want to read the whole thing, it's totally up to you. Tyler Dunne is the journalist who wrote this article. It was well written, that is for sure. So we're going to give him some credit there. But yeah, we didn't obviously read the whole thing, but if you want to, you can go to golongtd.com and then go from there. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it, ladies and gentlemen. These Bills and Kansas City Chiefs. 54.6% for the Bills, 45.0% for Kansas City. Bills are obviously 6-6 for the season. Kansas City is 8-4. I'm just going to start this off with saying this. Right now, Kansas City is not the team that we thought they were going to be coming into this year. Super Bowl champions, and they are not looking like Super Bowl champions, right? Obviously, Patrick Mahomes not playing to his full potential. He may not have the offense that he needs to actually go out there and play at an elite level. Travis Kelce also, he's basically been getting blocked up out there and double teamed, and people have basically teams have put a game plan for Travis Kelce to make him less of a weapon. And right now, can you really trust Rice? Can you really trust Pacheco, who will be out? Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's going to be in, so we'll have to see how that goes. I do think Kansas City is going to be in shambles for this game. I really do. It's going to be interesting. On the flip side, Bills do have their issues at defense. Patrick Mahomes always finds a way. He always finds a way to just cut and slice through that defense some way, somehow, with the tools that he has. I do think this could be a close matchup. It could be a close game. But this is one game where I think the Bills do need it more. The Bills are going to be a little bit more hungry, way more hungry. Let me rephrase that, way more hungry than Kansas City. Bills just have this thing where they go out there and they ball out against Kansas City at home during the regular season. We know that. That's what we've been seeing. If we get into the spread, Kansas City is favored by 1 point. 1 point, ladies and gentlemen. 48.5 is the over-under. You guys know I'm Bills Mafia. That's just what it is. I'm going to go ahead and take the Bills, and I'm going to be more than a believer this week. I'm going to take the Bills by 14. And in fact, I'm going to go 28. I'm going to go 28 points for the Bills. Kansas City, 14. So there you go. There you go. That's going to be my score prediction. for these Bills, 28-14. And I think it's going to be a great game. I do think it's probably going to start off, real hot, shootout, and then it's going to boil down to who makes the first mistake. And the Bills defense hopefully step up, do what they need to do. That defensive line gets a couple sacks on Mahomes. And, just go out there and be dominant. Go out there and be dominant. Shake up the world and remind everybody what this Bills can do and go from there. All right. So before we get up out of here, we'll hop into the comments and then we'll take a quick phone call. We'll do one more phone call for the Bills and Chiefs prediction, and we'll go from there. Shout out to Tactical. What up, man? Says, could this be done angry about the access to the team? Could be. It could be. Bob says, good journalism is dead. Okay. The part about not having team access should be openly criticized because there was McDermott's mandate and they clamped down when he showed up. Interesting. I didn't know that. Shout out to you, Astrology. Tactical says, so the head coach has clamped down on media access. That's interesting, right? Because that could play into, the morale and how things are being, as a culture and all that kind of stuff. So that's something that could be interesting to talk about. Tactical says, let Allen be Allen. Yeah, man. Father Time says that's why Allen can't be Favre. Favre would throw McDermott a 100 mile per hour pass. I wonder how Allen truly feels about the locker room situation. It's hard to read, right? It's hard to read because at the end of the day, you have a situation to where they're paid to go out there and make sure that everything looks good on paper. And it's just the reality of it. The gun is the power of the trigger and the explosive defense. Okay. Bob says the editor is the bad coach in this article. All right. Astrology says humility is the issue in the article, and I agree wholeheartedly. A good leader delegates. That is true. He took the reins from Frazier in the 13-second game and didn't own it. You got to own it. You got to take accountability. Jarl says, how long do we have to trust the process? Your guess is as good as mine. Fire Time says you didn't pick and choose words. Every writer thanks you. Yeah, without a doubt. The key is to know when to step back and trust your people. The fear takes over and causes a leader lacking humility to interfere. Okay. Father Time says, I'll take the Bills. Adversity for the players will overcome the coaching. Shout out to you, Lutza. Says Bills. Let's go. Father Time. Forrest in the house. Let's go. Astrology says Andy Reid is a proven coach, and this is McDermott's big chance to embrace humility. When I say he falls short, Chiefs 31, Bills 24. Wow. Okay. All right. So we'll do one more phone call, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to call in regards to your prediction for the Bills and the Chiefs, let me know how you feel before we wrap things up. We'll do one more phone call. We'll open up the line, and there you go. It's going to be 585. I gotta wait for this number to roll through. Because I don't know this number by heart, unfortunately. So if you want to call in so we can wrap up the show, it's going to be 585 371 8825. 585 371 8825. If you guys want to call in and go ahead and drop your predictions for the Bills and the Chiefs, we'll do one call before we get up out of here. It's going to be 585 371 8825. Father Time says I'd call, but I live nowhere. I mean, hey, still call in, Quick shout out to Sal for subscribing. Thanks a lot. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for subscribing. Give you guys a few minutes to see who has the guts. It's funny. It's kind of hilarious. Give you guys the opportunity to chat it up. And some people get nervous. Some people get scared. They don't want to pick up that phone, but they'll get on that keyboard. That number to call, BR549. What do we got here? You said BR549. I got a plus 596 that called in, so I don't know what that is. Sal says can't trust McDermott in crunch time. KC 24-20. Bills fan. Wow. Shout out to you, Sal. Thank you. I'm on the river. It wouldn't work. Okay. All right. Does anybody want to call in for this last segment for the Bills and KC? Give your thoughts. Bills in Kansas City. Give your thoughts. If you want to call in, phone number is going to be 585-371-8825. If you want to call in and give your insights for the Bills and the Chiefs, and we'll wrap this thing up. Gerald, what up, man? What's going on with you? Luda says, Jay, I'm too hillbilly for your state. That is not true. We got hillbillies in New York, too. All right, so we'll give it a few minutes here before we wrap things up. Shout out to Tactical. Actually, Tactical, how about you pick up the phone and get on the line? I'd love to hear from you, man. Give me a call, Tactical. 585-371-8825. If you want to talk about these Bills in Kansas City before we take off. Bob says I cuss too much to call. We're gonna have to figure it out. Hold on.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much of any.
Oh, let me turn this down here so the people can hear you. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
Good. Glad to hear your voice. Glad you're sounding good. So what do you got for me tonight? What you got for these Bills in Kansas City?
Them Bills will take it. You know it.
What do you got for me tonight? Which one is in Kansas City?
Them Bills will take it. You know it.
You got to turn the volume down in the background so we don't get any feedback.
All right, that's
Yeah, you should be good now. All right. So yeah, you got the Bills. What's your score prediction, Luther? What's your score prediction?
18-12.
18-12?
I think it's going to be low scoring.
Okay. It could be a defensive battle, right? Everybody thinks it's going to be a shootout. It could be a defensive battle. We could see, it go down to the wire, a touchdown, some field goals, maybe a safety. Who knows, right? It could happen that way. I just see it. I just see it being a shootout, though. Allen's got a lot to prove. He's going to want to go out there, play his game. Mahomes as well. I think the big thing to pay attention to is, if we're able to get the Chiefs in those 3rd and long situations. We've seen what Mahomes can do on a 3rd and 17, 3rd and 18. Those are the things that I'm going to be paying real attention to as far as whether or not the Bills defense can play through it.
The Kansas City Chiefs has got that boy that's over heels with Taylor Swift. He keeps dropping everything.
Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Travis he keeps dropping all the passes because he got a girlfriend now.
That's right. His mind is not in the game.
It's not there. He's not ready. He's love struck. He's love struck. He ain't ready for the game.
Them puppies, you know how it.
So how many times you think they're gonna show Taylor Swift?
Oh God, probably at least 4 to 6.
4 to 6 times. We're gonna have to do a counter on Sunday. I'll try to get like a counter. We'll do a Taylor Swift counter. See how many times she shows up.
Right.
We'll see how many times she's up. 5 times there's too many pregame activities. All right. Shout out to you, Luton. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. It was good to hear from you.
Take care, hon.
All right. Have a good night. Father Time, you called? Let's get you in here, man. Let's get you in here. If you want to call one more time, I'll try to pick up, or I'll try to I'll call you right back. Drop your area code in the chat. I'll try and see if I can find the number and just call you back. Tadigo says, Jay, the Chiefs lose when she's not there. Well, she's going to be there, supposedly, so we'll see. We will see. Let's get you in here, Father Time. 319. I'm going to call you back right now. See if we can get you in.
Hey, Jay.
Father Time, what's going on, man?
Hey, nice to meet you.
You as well. You know what's crazy? I'm just really enjoying this right now because I'm always doing the talk and I get to hear you guys talk and I get to hear your voice and you're not just typing no more. What do you got for me, Father Time? What do you got?
Well, I don't do very well on the phone, but what I got for you, I'm going to go 32-16 Bills.
Ooh. Okay. 32-16. You think the Bills going to put up 30 on the Chiefs?
Yeah, I think the players are going to want this more.
So let's break this down then. Do you think Gabe shows up? Do you think Gabe shows up, or do you think it's more of a Stephon Diggs game, kind of, Murray, Cook, Stephon Diggs, or do you think they just keep, Gabe Davis off to the side and not really play him as much?
I don't think it's that. I think it's the defensive line's going to show up.
Okay.
They're going to get more possessions than they have most of the season.
You think we'll see some scores from the defense?
I wouldn't rule one out. I wouldn't expect a miracle or anything like that.
I think Mahomes throws a pick six. That's what I think. I think he's going to throw a pick six. It's going to hype everybody up. Everybody going to be going crazy. And I think he throws a pick six, or we see a strip sack, fumble, somebody runs it in for a touchdown. That's going to hype up everybody.
Yeah, and that affect the offense. Get Hill back out there, and the wide receivers are going, or everybody's against the coaches. So,
all right.
What do you think on that?
As far as the wide receivers for the Chiefs?
Well, yeah, it totally tears them apart.
Well, let's get into the depth chart, right? So if we look at Kansas City, let's break things down. So obviously you've got Rashee Rice, you got Justin Watson, Sky Moore. We see Kadarius Toney come in, and he's had a situation where he had his drops and all that kind of stuff, and they're trying to basically get him back into it. Then you'll probably see Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They like to basically switch things up as the game flows, and that's actually one of the big things that I do respect as far as Andy Reid. He knows how to make the adjustments as far as with his wide receivers. I do expect Rice to ball. I do expect Watson to get some touches. Moore may be an X factor. We know what we're going to do with Travis Kelce. We know we're going to lock him up. So Mahomes is going to find a way to utilize one of these other guys a lot. And then obviously, you know, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I just don't see him having a good night as far as running against the defense. But I could be wrong because, you know, I've been let down as far as that defensive line and the gaps that sometimes they allow to happen. And that's my only true concern as far as people are just sleeping on Clyde Edwards-Helaire because Pacheco's out. If he hits the gaps and the Bills don't play that run properly, they could have a long night from the Kansas City run game.
I think where I'd come in would be Rice could have a good game, but if the defense shows up and they get a turnover from Mahomes, what does Mahomes do after that?
Well, I think if they do get like I said, a pick six or a strip sack, you know, it definitely affects Mahomes. We've seen that. I've called it out from the games that I've commentated on. You guys know that. I've seen it multiple times. If you put Patrick Mahomes in a situation to where he fumbles or he throws a pick, he's frazzled at that moment. Things change and he'll start throwing short. They'll start going on screens and stuff like that. He'll try to, you know, squeeze it into Kelce on, you know, the short passes on the short routes. And he'll try to basically use his legs. So if the Bills can do that and, you know, just basically, you know, frazzle Patrick Mahomes and get that pick, get that, you know, fumble or get that big sack. That's another one, a big sack. If he loses a big 10 yards, 15 yards, something like that, you're going to basically see Mahomes start to unravel a little bit before he can get it back together. So, yeah, I do. Like I said, I do think that the Bills will come out strong defensively. They're going to have to full pedal to the metal, you know, straight, full on, take it to them, not waste any time if they're going to go to win this game and do it convincingly.
Well, and I think that's why I think the defensive line is the biggest part of this. And they're the most resilient against the coaches.
Yeah.
If Mahomes goes to his feet, then it's that defensive line that's going to win.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, you know, obviously, I'm not sure about Von, right? Von's always been in question, and I would hope that we get Von out there. You know, forget the situation or whatever. Von playing, and if he's able to play, he definitely needs to show why they're letting him play and make something happen. Obviously, Ed Oliver, Greg Russo, the usual suspects, you know, Epinesa, I'm expecting these guys to go out there and ball out, do what they need to do. I want at least 3 sacks. That's what I want. At least 3 sacks, a pick six, and Allen to just go out there, play his game, you know, 350 yards, 3 touchdowns, and have himself a good time.
I think that's the right recipe.
Definitely. So
right,
shout out
nice
to you,
to
Father
meet you,
Time.
brother.
Much love, man. Thank you for your time.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll go ahead and wrap things up here. Quick comments. Ernie says, will Gabe Davis show up? I'm not sure, man. I'm thinking that they may have incorporated some kind of strategy to put him in there, but if he is in there, it's probably going to be, you know, for a few plays, and they're going to focus on, you know, these other guys like Shakir and, you know, Hardy and Sherfield. So we'll see. We'll see what they do. Quick shout out to Tactical. Says, Jay, the fact that you stream this turmoil in your franchise is proof you call it like you see it. Listen, you guys know I don't sugarcoat it, right? I don't go back on anything that I said. There was a lot of people that were mad at me for saying what I said in regards to McDermott. I stand on that. At the end of the day, things need to change. And if they don't change, then we need to make adjustments as far as with these coaches, these coaching positions. That's just the reality of it, right? I give Sean McDermott credit when it's due, and I criticize him when it's due as well. And right now, the criticisms are warranted, right? You can feel however you want to feel about me. You can hate what I said. You can feel some kind of way. You can call me a fake Bills fan. But when I tell you that there is no one else right now on YouTube that probably takes more scrutiny than me above the players themselves and the coaching and the staff and all that kind of stuff, I'm the one that's taking the heat just like the players. So when I'm giving criticism, it's because I'm dealing with criticism for being loyal to my team. So we got to figure out what's wrong. We got to fix the issues. And then we go out there and get the win, and everybody can hold hands and sing Kumbaya and say, hey, we all did it. But when I give criticism and I say what I say, I stand at it. I don't go back on my words. Y'all know that. I keep it 100. It's just the reality of it. Shout out to Ernie. Says, big up, Jay. You dropped the facts. Always. Gerald says, I want to see Leonard. Me as well. I'd like to see him. We got him. What is he doing? Can we get Fournette on the field? That'd be great. This would be a great game to do it. Father Time, yeah, man, you sounded good. You sounded good. Shawji says if Taylor Swift comes to the game, it's the proper expression. The NFL loves her, and she is gunning for the halftime show. Listen, Taylor Swift, DeAndre Swift, all the Swifts. Bills by 14. All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you hit that like, that thumbs up, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys lock it in. It was great. It was fun. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bills, Chiefs, Eagles, Cowboys. I'll be streaming it tomorrow. Lock it in. Everyone have a great evening. Have a safe Saturday. And much love to each and every one of you. Have a good night.